This is Panasonic's latest Micro Four Thirds camera. It's the GF5. Now, it replaces the GF3, which was the previous model. You'll notice that there's no 4. Well, that's because apparently in Japan 4 means dead. So we've skipped over the 4, we go straight to the 5. Now, cosmetically, it looks fairly similar to the GF3. It has a similar setup with the flash in the centre that you can see popped up there, comes up nice and high. There are a few cosmetic changes. This model here has a larger grip, so it's much easier to hold. It's very light, so it's not that difficult to hold anyway. Other cosmetic changes are that there's an aluminium section here around the lens, and also you've got a metal button here on this jog dial, whereas it used to be plastic before. Like the previous model, this GF5 has a 12.1 megapixel sensor, although the sensor is different on this model, as is the processor, and Panasonic say that should give us better pictures. Now, another difference here is in this screen. There's no viewfinder, but this LCD screen here is 920K dot resolution as opposed to the 460K dot of the previous model. So, although you don't have the viewfinder option on this model, we expect that you should be able to see it a little easier in bright light. It can shoot 1080i video, and also with this model you now have the stereo microphone back, which you didn't have on the GF3, so that should give you improved video sound quality. The GF range of cameras are aimed at people who are just starting to get into interchangeable lens cameras. So Panasonic have included a new scene guide on the GF5. If I go into the record mode here and select scene, you can then see different types of scenes. I should have pointed out this is a touch screen as on the previous version. Now if we have a look here at this clear nightscape scene, if I press the I button here, we get some information on that scene mode, so it shows you the before and after shots here, and as you scroll down you can get some advice on the way you should shoot, so it says there using a tripod, and also gives you the recommended lenses to use when you're shooting in that mode. So that's really handy. It talks you through the different scenes that you can shoot and how to get the best effects from them. Panasonic has also added more creative controls to this model. If I just show you one of these additional ones, it's the star filter. If I show you here, it just makes a slightly more dramatic shot. I'll point it at this glass of water and you can see how the reflections pick up. If I increase the starriness, you get these real kind of toothpaste advert tings appearing. I'll just press the shutter and it makes for a much sort of brighter shot. The ISO range on this camera goes from 160 all the way up to 12,800, and you'll see some noise in the higher ISO settings as you'd expect with any camera. Now there were 2 kit options with this model. You've got the 14 to 42mm X lens here, which collapses into the body, making it nice and compact and easy to carry around. Or slightly cheaper as a kit, you've got the same 14 to 42, but the standard lens, which doesn't collapse down. You can see the size difference here. It also works with Panasonic's full range of lenses. You've got 16 to choose from there, plus some other third-party lenses and Olympus lenses too, so plenty of options. The GF5 will be available with the standard lens as a kit for $449 or with the X lens for $599. So that's the GF5. If you want to find out a bit more about this camera or about the previous model, the GF3, go to which.co.uk.
This is the Panasonic Gx1. It's a completely new line of Micro Four Thirds cameras from Panasonic. Now, being a Micro Four Third camera, that means it has the interchangeable lenses, but is all put together on a compact body. Now, it's similar in many respects to the Panasonic GF1. However, there's a lot of new technology that's been introduced since the GF1 that features on this GX1, and this GX1 also stands apart because it is a very premium camera. It's got a metal body, metal buttons and controls. It's got this comfortable grip here and a nice premium finish. Now, it's going to be available in black and silver, and having that X in its name shows that it's going to be compatible with the higher end X lenses in the Micro Four Thirds system. Now, it's got a 14 to 42mm standard lens on here, and it's going to launch with this lens in December, although you're going to be able to also buy it with a 14 to 42mm X lens, and that will be available in January. I've got one of those X lenses in my pocket. It's not the 14 to 42mm zoom, but instead it's the 45 to 175 power zoom, and it's got this power zoom control on the barrel, which is great if you're shooting video. Now, some of those new features include the level gauge, so that allows you to align the camera with the horizon, whether shooting in landscape or portrait. It's great for stills and video, making you sure you get a square shot. There are also 4 FN or function buttons. Now, these allow you to customize the camera. You can program them so they access your favorite features for quick access to those features when you're out and about. And there's also the manual focus assist feature that allows you to get pinpoint accuracy with your manual focus by enlarging the area that you're focusing on by up to 10 times. There's also one push AE, so when you've adjusted the shutter speed or the aperture to a setting that doesn't quite suit the conditions, by doing the one push AE, it will automatically align those and correct them so you get a decent shot. And there's also the touch zoom feature that will allow you to zoom in without using the lens barrel. Instead, you control that on the touch screen on the rear of the camera. And there can be 3 different settings of zoom speed, so you can have slow, medium or fast. The GX1 has a built-in pop-up flash, but there's also a mount on the top of the camera for an external flash, or the new electronic viewfinder that's also launching for around £229. There's also a couple of new shooting modes, and that's toy effect and low key. And this camera can shoot full HD video, and it can capture the files in AVC HD format or MP4. Now, beyond those new features, the camera is also generally much faster, and we'll be looking to test its performance once we buy this camera and put it through its paces in the labs. But in the meantime, if you want more details on this camera and hundreds of others, then go to our website at which.co.uk/cameras.